Welcome. Today we're going to be discussing Escape from the Storm, its execution, some things you should know about its execution, some problems that can arise with its execution, how to fix them, and a bunch more about this technique. So, like many of the techniques in the upper part of the system, it is in a form. In this case, it's form 6 or long form 6, depending upon how you refer to it. The interesting part about it is one of the middle versions is inside the form, and the ideal is the long version of the form, or the technique. So, unlike our other videos, what we're going to do is we're going to do our quick walkthrough first so that you can see the technique. And then what we're going to do is we're going to back up and talk through all the different potential problems and options that go on with this. So we're going to go off this slight angle so you can see it a little better. This is off an overhead club attack from my flank. I'm going to use purposeful evasion with purposeful aggression. Change my hand from pivot point from shoulder and elbow into the hand to get the upward elbow here. Then hit the heel palm pulling towards us, continuing to turn the pivot point into our body, doing a pull as we continue to come forward and do a check. Drop, break, clear, hit, hit, press, hit. Crossover, hit up. These are all up and up. Then we can do either a scoop and hit or a kick and scoop, cross out and cover. So now that you can see what the technique is, now we can go into the details and how you can manipulate this technique in a variety of different ways and how it gives you the options to do so. So this is from that flank like we said. So what we're going to be doing is using purposeful evasion. The first thing we want to do is there's a very, very short version of this technique in which you just walk out of the way. Notice I did it, but I didn't do it properly. If you were going to do the short version, what you would want to do is keep that chuck up just to make sure that they don't hit you. Even though, if you think about it, all you're doing is getting out of the way. But what we're doing is combining purposeful evasion with purposeful aggression. So purposeful aggression can be found in something like a triggered salute. We're going to do a push, we go right into it, do a hit. Okay? So we're going to do both of those two ideas combined. So what we're going to do is we're going to step and hit. Now, the first problem that can arise is I'm going to move my body that way so you can see it. I do not want to hit this way because that's where I'm going to go. So I don't want that opponent to be in the place where I'm going to be. So how do we solve for that problem? The way we solve for that is we go up. We contour up the body and hit up. That way they're not leaning up backwards, but instead what we want to do is have them lean forward. So we get to this hit, and we continue this crossover to do up again. This is going to start bowing their body forward, ideally. So as we hit, that's what's going to happen. And then we want to hit to continue to bend forward, and then we're going to pick up this leg. But what we're going to do is we're going to turn the pivot point from our arms and our shoulders to our body as we pick this leg up. And there's where the first problem can arise. And this is one of the first options that you might want to do. So we get into here, we get this hit, and what happens if we push and pull and we lose them? We go, uh-oh, there's a problem. So what do? What I can do is I can do this crossover, hit, cover the distance, and continue on with the technique. So that's a potential problem. So if you notice, I was able to step forward, but let's say I can't. I get to here, and I begin to do this step, and I go, whoa, I haven't got it. My right foot is forward, or I'm sitting in a position like this. This is where I could choose which shot I want to do. So now you'll notice I'm hitting with these hands. There's a big complaint about this technique saying, what are you doing all this stuff to the groin for? It's really not useful. You're doing it redundantly. We're hitting to the same spot over and over. These are very good observations and they're very good points. And I agree with you. Keep in mind that the self-defense techniques, specifically this one and many of the other ones, are not optimized completely for self-defense. They're there to show you options that are available to you for self-defense. So what do I mean by that? So I get into here, I get to here, and I get to here, and I go, you know what? I'm in a really good position here. I could continue forward with the technique, but I decide, you know what? No, I'm just going to take this scoop and I'm out, right? So that's one of the options. If you notice, that's the last shot here that we have in the technique. We're in the same position, but we decide we're just going to go from that position. Or we could choose to do the second half of the technique, combined with the first half of the technique. So keep in mind, so all that's happening here is we're going, look, you can hit this way, this up with the right, you can hit this way up with the right, you can hit this way up with the right, you can hit this way up with the right. We're going to show you all of them. Then we're showing, well, we can then do a compression move here, or we can just do a hit and a scoop as we leave here. So it's giving you both options. Okay, up for a second. So keep in mind that what's going on here is the complete option list for you, done in a very specific manner that's laid out. It's not to show you exactly how you're supposed to do the technique for an ideal phase. It's showing you all your options. So keep that in mind as this goes forward. So let's continue. We get to here, we get to here, we get to here. Now, the ideal part of this technique is a little bit different to brushing the storm. Brushing the storm is we keep this left hand here, we slide out to here because we don't want to do the scoop and the kick. In this case, what we're doing is doing something different. What we're going to do, rather than just use this left hand to do the check against that weapon, because if I don't, the guy can turn and hit me. Instead, the alternate way of doing that is to do this, to pull him towards us, and then continue to put the check on that. So this is a slightly different way, different option than that's one that's presented to you in brushing the storm. So now here's where a big difference comes in between the form and the technique version. The form version does this. They try and do the two shapes of the crane and break with the elbow. If you notice, I am unable to do that. Even if I bend over, it's not available to do that. So what we do instead is we drop both hands down, heel palms, on both sides of the knee to break that. Then what we're going to do is we're going to clear off that leg. So that's the general idea of what's happening here. Why? Because we're going to clear this area, and this is where we expose our options. So then we go through the options. Option 1, option 2. Keep in mind I don't have to do option 2. I go 1, hit, hit. But we may decide both. Or we may decide just a second. For whatever reason we get here, we hit that way, and we hit a hit. So again, both options. Then if you'll notice, this one's kind of compressed. You're kind of jamming yourself here. But that is because of the option that's available to you from the beginning of the technique. You don't do that crossover. You just start to here, do the hit, you do scoop, or you do the compression hit, backing compression hit, or you do the hit that way. But that's where we get to here. 1, 2, full options, okay? We may not want to do that. We may just want to go 1, 2, and out. So keep this in mind. So now that we've done all those different options, let's walk through exactly what the technique shows you ideally. It does the break, it does the clear, it does the hit, it does the hit, it does the sandwiching maneuver, does the hit, kick, and then scoop if you want on the way out, and then up. Okay, now that we walk through all this, talk through all this stuff, and you have a general idea of it, let's do it one more time so you can see it without further explanation. Up. Hope this video helps you. Thank you very much.